Hi, this is Rena from Rena Davis Wellness, and welcome to day 3 of our virtual yoga retreat. I'm going to take a seat and we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Today's class is focused on the Manipura Chakra, right at the solar plexus, or where the diaphragm is, just maybe at the base of the diaphragm. So that would be around the rib cage, where the ribs come toward each other on the front plane of the body. And this chakra is yellow in color and is associated with transformation. As always, we use this as a location point. The chakra itself is at the back body or through the body. So we aren't right at the front of the body where we're focusing. As I mentioned, this Manipura chakra is associated with transformation. So this is a really big one. And opening it up can lead to that transformation that many people are looking for through a yoga practice, through a retreat, through a cleanse, whatever the case may be. And we're doing all of it. So to get started, I'd like you to take a seat in a comfortable seated position. I'm just sitting in an easy seat. And we're going to just lift up through the spine. Think about lifting out of the pelvis a little bit, relaxing through your knees, relaxing your shoulders. And you can even draw the shoulders down the back. And from there, we're just going to close the eyes gently, if that's comfortable for you. And we'll just take several deep breaths, the goal being to just calm the mind from any stresses of the day or any upcoming stresses. And just clearing out any thoughts that might be holding you back today. And we'll take a few more breaths just like that. And then open the eyes. And we're going to take a really gentle twist to begin. So I'd like you to take your right arm and place it on your left knee. Take your other hand and just lean into it slightly and open up. You can look over the shoulder if that feels okay for your neck today. And just take several breaths. As you inhale, I want you to think about getting that length through the spine once again. And as you exhale, you might be opening into that twist just a little tiny bit more. And we'll do 2 more breaths right here. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So place the right hand behind the left hand on the knee, and then start to open. You're lengthening the spine and then twisting open on your exhalation. Shoulders are pulling back. We don't want them to be coming forward. Rounding the shoulders in a twist is not conducive. We want to come back through the shoulders and get that twist coming right out of the spine. And we'll do 2 more breaths on this side. And then facing forward. Right here, we're just going to transition onto our hands and knees. So I'll get you to set up. And we're going to roll over onto the hands and knees. We're going to place the hands so that they are shoulder distance apart. We pretty much always start in this position in a yoga class. Today I want you to just do a little bit of sewing machine motion. So we're going to pull the shoulders right down the back. And then pick them up and round through the upper spine. And do that several times. I'm just going to make that door stop squeaking. Here we go. I don't know if you could hear it, but maybe you could, and I didn't want it to distract you. And then we're going to move into a few cat-cows. So I want you to think about the spine rounding as you come into an arched position with the spine and lift up through the head at the very end, looking forward, drawing the shoulder blades down the back, and then lifting the other way, rounding the spine into a cat pose. And you can go at the pace of your breath here, so we don't have to be going at the same pace. Inhaling right here, and exhaling as you move into cat. One more time each way. Shoulders down the back, melting the heart between, looking forward. And then other way, one more time into that cat pose. And then just coming into a neutral position with the shoulder blades down the back, a nice neutral spine, so we don't want an overarch through the spine. We don't want it to round either. We're coming right in the middle. And you can try both positions and then find the perfect spot for you. And we're just going to take the right leg back and push into your toes. Just going to get a stretch across the calves there. And then draw that knee back in and take the other side, just pushing into the toes a little bit here. And draw in once again. Set the knees up so that they're just underneath the hips. Every finger is pressing into the floor. Every knuckle, the balls of each finger press down. We tuck the toes under and we lift the hips to move into downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, if you would like to walk the heels out one at a time to start off, that's great. Really useful in the morning, especially when we're not very warm yet. Shoulder blades are pulling down the back. We're breathing. Both heels pressing toward the floor. And then walking the feet forward all the way to the top of your mat. Setting up the feet so they're wide through the toes, baby toes coming out to the sides, and then we're going to keep that slight bend through the knees as we lift in standing position, mountain pose. Hands are going to come right to the heart, and then pressing a little bit with firmness at the heart center, and then rising up. Inhale, and then exhale as you swan dive over those legs. As you do that, I want you to keep a slight bend through the knees, keep soft. Hands can come on the shins, the thighs, or stay on the floor, and move forward to take your straight spine. Fold yourself together once again, Uttanasana, forward bend, and then plant your hands down and step one leg back at a time, and then the other to move into a plank pose. So this is one of the poses that target that Manipura chakra. And the reason for that is we're really bracing through our abs in this pose. This can be done either high on the hands or down on the knees. If you're down on the knees, you still want to make sure that you're in a plank position. I'm just going to tuck my shirt in a little bit so you can see a little better. You want to get so that your knees to your shoulders are in a straight line. And the same goes when you rise into that high plank. We're going to lower down through chaturanga. And then slide the heart forward and take your cobra. We're tucking the toes and reaching back into downward facing dog. Doing any shifting along the way that feels appropriate for you. Really paying attention to what your body needs, what your intuition is telling you. And then step all the way to the front of the mat once again, and we'll repeat that. Rise on an inhalation. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, rise up, maybe looking up toward the hands, and then over the legs you go. Little bend through those knees. You're tightening up through the abdominals as you do that, and then we rise, lengthen through the spine, and fold over the legs. Planting the hands to the floor, bending the knees as much as needed to get there, and come into your plank pose once again. If you're on your toes, you're going to shift forward and then lower through chaturanga. That'll get your elbows stacked right over your wrist. Moving through your cobra. And then reaching the toes under. Hips come back. Downward facing dog. Step or hop your feet to the front of your mat once again. And then rise. Inhale. Exhale. Hands to your heart. Take that deep inhale again. We're going to add on this time. Over we go. Bend through the knees, drop the head, and then lengthen through the spine. Fold yourself together, and then step it back. We're going to hold right here in plank pose. I want you to draw those shoulders down the back. If it's helpful to you, you can think about that lifting and lowering in that sewing machine position to see if that helps you get those shoulder blades down. Remember, this can be done on the knees. Totally okay. We're going to take the right foot and we're going to turn it out to the side, so kind of like you're wagging a dog's tail. And we're going to shift over onto that knee and the right hand, and then lift through your left hand, pulling shoulders back, chest forward, maybe looking toward the top hand, and breathing in a variation of side plank, Vashisthasana. Take 2 deep breaths right here, full expression of the pose. Imagine you have a little jack lifting your hips up. And then release hands down on either side, under the shoulders. Drop your left knee down, open that up to the side, and then transition to the other side, reaching the right hand over the left, planting that back foot right to the floor, hand coming up, breathing with sound. Pulling the chest a little bit more forward, planting those shoulders down the back, and then releasing your top hand to the floor. Come back into your plank pose, and then lower chaturanga. Slide up and take a cobra. These vinyasas, we're coming back into downward facing dog. All the vinyasas where we go from that standing position through our down dog and into plank and whatnot, all of that can be skipped anytime. Can always come into a child's pose, into a downward facing dog, or some other resting position that feels right for you. Right now we're going to take the right foot and bring it all the way to the front of the mat, and then release your back heel. So for many people, it's comfortable to have the heels lined up. If that's not comfortable for you, you can open this front foot a little bit wider, so there's a little more width for your hips to open. And then we're cartwheeling the arms to move into a warrior 2. Arms are extending over the legs, and then we're going to sink in and stack that knee right over the ankle. Your back edge of your back foot is really planted to the floor here. So consider that as you lengthen that leg, and then reaching that other arm, your left arm back, lining them up so that they're in the same position. We often drop like this, get it up there, and then have a look down at your front foot and make sure that you can see your big toe. If you can't see your big toe, you've got your knee pulling in. We need that to go back out again, and then sink. Take another breath right there. And then release your forearm to your thigh and reach open with your left hand. Breathing right here with sound. Maybe looking up to the top hand. One more breath. And then releasing all the way down to frame that front foot and step back. Taking plank pose, lowering through chaturanga, and then sliding forward. Taking the vinyasa, and back we go, downward facing dog. Your left foot moves forward. We release that back heel again, separating through the feet if that feels best for you. And then we transition into warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, by coming back with that top arm, reaching over with the left. Down we go, stacking the knee, making sure that big toe is visible. And checking the back foot, really pushing down hard on that back foot, releasing shoulders down the back, gazing over your front middle finger. 2 big breaths right here. And then we release the forearm to the thigh. Reach your right arm up, coming into side angle pose. Gaze can come up toward that top hand, if that feels good for your neck. Take a couple of deep breaths right there. And then releasing that top hand. Frame the front foot once again, and this time we're going to step forward. Feet together, top of the mat. Inhaling to rise. Exhaling, hands to heart. Inhale as you rise up. Exhale as you fold over the legs. Little bend through those knees once again. Inhale as you lengthen in your spine. and then fold yourself together. Release through your head every time, planting the hands to the floor, one leg back at a time. Move through your plank pose. Let's once again drop the right knee down and open that foot up to the side and bring it up. Side plank variation. If you would like to lift the back leg, you're coming into more of a 5-pointed star here. Really push back through your heel on the left side and breathe, maybe looking up at that top hand and then releasing the foot, releasing the hand. Turn back over. You can be on the knees or on the toes, and then we take that left knee back. Extend through the right, reach up, big breaths. Remember, you're pushing forward through your chest and then maybe lifting the back leg. Watching the breath. One more. And then release the foot, release the hand. Come back into plank pose on the knees or in the line, shifting weight, lowering if you'd like to come through the vinyasa. Come forward for your cobra or upward facing dog, and then tuck at the toes and back we go. Bring your right foot forward, making little adjustments as you go, as needed. So you might be, repositioning that front foot or the back foot, and then reaching the arms. Warrior two. Sink into your warrior two. Stack the knee over the ankle. Breathe with sound. Looking over those front middle fingers. And then we're going to straighten through the front leg. Right here, we're going to have a look and make sure the ankle, knee, hip are in a straight line. We're going to pull back through the hips. We're going to reach over that leg and shift the weight even more. And then lower that hand anywhere that feels right for you. It can be on your thigh. It can be on the floor. It could be to a block. Anywhere that feels good for you. And then again, we're reaching open. Thinking about opening the chest toward the sky. Big smiles. Getting those big belly breaths here. One more time. And then releasing the top hand. Frame your front foot once again, and back we go. We're going low, coming through the vinyasa, or taking the resting pose. No judging yourself for what you need, for honoring where you are right now. And then your left foot moves forward, releasing the back heel and cartwheeling the arms. Sink into it. Gaze comes over that front middle finger. We breathe with sound. We lower the shoulders down the back as we lift out of the pelvis and sink into the front knee. So there's varying movements going on in this position. And then coming into side angle, modified variation. Reaching that top arm to the ceiling, breathing with sound. Coming back up through your warrior and then straightening the front leg. Once again, check the alignment. Ankle, knee, hip, straight line. If you're turning out or anything, your knee will be pointing in the opposite direction. So get in there and really pull back through that hip. And then we reach across and then lower to the appropriate point for you. Chest is opening toward the ceiling. Keep length through the spine and breathe, possibly with sound. This top hand is going to lower down on the other side of your foot, and we're going to step forward, feet together, top of the mat. Reach the arms high, and then bring it in. I want you to step your left foot back here. And we're going to line up once again, maybe heel to heel or heel to arch here. Take the position that feels most balanced for you. We're going to again turn back through this hip. So we're really thinking about turning this forward and pulling back. So we really push back in the hips, Reach the arms across. Take your Trikonasana triangle pose again and come low, hanging on anywhere along that leg that feels good for you. The idea is to get the straightest leg possible here. Push down on the big toe ball mound really firmly. That'll help you to keep your balance. And then maybe you look up toward the sky. Another breath right there. And then we're going to turn the hands down toward the floor. We're going to step the hands ever so slightly forward. I'm just going to back my front foot up a bit. So we're maybe 4 inches or so in front of the foot. We're going to lift onto our back heel and then lunge up and allow the head to release. There's very little weight through the hands here. And if you like, if you want an extra challenge, you could bring the hand to the ankle, or you could bring both hands into your ankle. Releasing your head and pushing up with the hip and the buttocks, toes pointing straight down at the floor. And then we're just going to land that foot back once again. We're going to plant our hands and step back, maybe go through the vinyasa. And then the left foot moves forward, releasing the back heel and cartwheeling up. We sink into the front knee for a moment, and then we straighten. Check the alignment, push down hard on the big toe ball mound on the front foot, and then reach across for your Trikonasana triangle. Take a couple of deep breaths right here. And then we release the hands down. Bring the hands forward a little bit, and then launch off your back foot, coming into a one-legged forward fold. Ekapada Uttanasana. Release your head once again. Very little weight in the hands. They're just there to help you balance. Toes point straight down at the floor. And then the feet are going to land at the front of the mat. We're going to rise to stand. And then bring the hands in. Take a breath right here. And then step back through your left foot. And once again, we're going to start in our triangle pose. So I want you to just lengthen that front leg once again and pull back through the hips. Feet don't have to be tremendously far apart. Go to your comfort level. If you have longer legs, you take them further apart. And then we reach that left hand over the right, keeping the length in the spine and the chest coming upward just slightly. So we don't want to be forward here in our triangle. We want to really be upward and focused with the chest toward the ceiling a little bit. One more breath right there. And then we're going to take that top hand down to the floor. We're going to shift our body forward and take a little gap between the feet. It's not a huge gap this time. We're going to take our hands back along the sides of the body or to the waist, your choice. We're going to bend a little bit into this front knee and then launch once again off this back foot, and hands might go back to come into Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Your gaze is right down at the floor. You're keeping strong in that standing leg, breathing. And then landing back, and we'll do those two on the other side. So bring the feet together, top of the mat. Step your right foot back, starting with our triangle pose. Back foot is angled out, maybe 45-degree angle. And then pulling back through the hips, reaching across, and into Trikonasana we go. Ensuring that your pressure is on that big toe ball mound on the front foot. And then we'll come up out of the pose and get ready for our Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Both feet face forward. We're going to bend slightly into that. I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Bring that in a little bit, bend it, and then launch. Strengthen all the muscles in that standing leg, pushing back with the hands, toe points down towards the floor, gaze is at the floor. Maybe find a point that isn't moving and focus on it. It'll help you to stay balanced and focused in your mind. If you start to fall, touch the floor, it's okay. And then feet come together, top of the mat this time. Take a big inhale, and then exhale over the legs. Inhale as you lengthen. Fold yourself together. And let's just stay here for a few moments in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. I'd like you to take your favorite pose, your favorite hand position in this pose. Hands might come to opposite elbows and let the head release. You might slide under the feet, putting a little pressure into the wrists. If you have sore wrists, that's a nice option. They might come over the back and interlace the fingers. If you need more shoulder opening, that feels nice. And they might just hang at the sides and just release. And just notice as you breathe, the movement in your body, the small movement that comes as you inhale and you come out of the pose a little bit. And as you exhale, folding yourself that little bit deeper. Take one more breath right here. And then we're going to bend the knees as much as we can. You might come right up on the toes. If that's not comfortable, we're just coming to a seat, so just sit down. Okay, and we're just going to take a little bit of cat-cow type position here with our feet out wide. We're going to put the hands behind us, and we're going to lean into the hands a little bit. And you can even shift your buttocks forward and come a little closer towards the feet if that feels good for you. Feet are about sitting bone distance apart, and we're going to open up through the back. Think about that upper back getting more rounded here. And then folding the other way, chin coming into the chest, belly button pulling back. And do that a few times. So we're going to be going into a back bend today, so I just want us to get ready for that. And don't worry, there will be options. One more time, pushing back. And then sitting tall with the spine. Let's just one time shift the weight back just a tidge. Feet come in. And we're going to just lift up into a tabletop position or a crab pose, whatever you'd like to call it. If the hands are not comfortable facing away from you, just turn them, face them in. It'll feel nicer. You can get a really nice big stretch over the forearms though if you turn them the other way. You can allow the head to drop down if that feels good for you, and then lift the hips, trying to clear over that hip flexor. Squeeze the buttocks, and then bring the head in and bring the buttocks down to the floor. Let's extend one leg out in front. And I want you to just move yourself forward just a little bit, drag yourself forward so that you're actually exposing your sitting bone on that leg. This other leg is going to come forward and cross. You can stay right here. This is a perfectly good place to be, to go into a twist, or you can bring this bottom foot back. If you're bringing it back, it's coming toward the outside of your hip. Bring it out so that you can ground both sitting bones down to the floor. This knee is pointing up toward the ceiling. Sole of the foot is on the floor. Lengthen up in your spine. And if you're mirroring me right now, you're going to have your left knee up. We're going to take the left hand and hug that knee, or take the elbow outside the knee. Hand can come up toward the ceiling or lower toward the floor. The back hand is going to make a little brace so that you can really rise up in Ardha Matsyendrasana. And again, we pull back through those shoulder blades. Keep long in your spine. Breathing with sound. Every inhalation, maybe thinking about making a little bit more space through each of your vertebrae. Every exhalation, turning that tiny, tiny bit more. Another breath right there. And then we turn and face forward and just hug that knee and be tall once again. And then extend both legs out in front. If you need a little shake out, give them a shake, or just a little, a little of that motion. And then we're going to take the other side. So if your buttocks have come back under, we're going to just move the flesh away to expose the sitting bone. And then we take the right leg up and over. This can stay straight out. This is a perfectly good spot to be. If your hips are more tight, it's going to feel a lot better having it here. And then you can get your twist still. Otherwise, you're bringing it back. And my toes are going to push into the floor on this foot. The sole of the foot is on the other. The reason we want to push our toes into the floor on this side is to keep protecting the knee. That's going to engage those muscles along the peroneals and make it safer for us. Lifting in the spine, getting really long. So if you're leaning back, you're not lengthening. So get long, sit forward of the sitting bones, and then either hug this knee or pop the elbow outside the knee. Other hand is coming behind you, making that little brace to lift you up even higher. Hand can be up in the air here. If you want to, you can go just slightly deeper by bringing it down at your hip and then looking over the shoulder if that's okay for your neck. Taking Ardha Matsyendrasana, half Lord of the Fishes. Take another breath here. And then turn your body around. And we're going to take the legs and once again, shake them out, take some movement, whatever you need, but there. And I'm going to turn again to the side. We're going to come down onto the back for a moment and just pull the knees into the chest. Knees can come straight into the chest with them together like this, or you can draw them out to the sides a little more. You may find that more comfortable, and you can rock yourself side to side several times. And then we're going to release the legs, draw them back to the floor, and we're going to flip over onto the belly. So as you come up, we're going to come into Sphinx pose to begin. So Sphinx pose is done with the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. The shoulder blades come down the back again. I know I say that a lot. And shoulders move away from the ears. We're going to actually pull back through. From there, we're going to come back into that variation of Cobra. So you can stay right in your Sphinx pose if that feels better for you, or you can move along into your Cobra pose. If you're coming into your variation of Cobra, we're going to again push into the hands and lift, and thinking about that rounding coming from that upper back, right about at the tips of the shoulder blade. So push your tailbone towards your heels. Take a little of the roundness out of the low back. Take deep breaths right there. And then releasing once again. Dropping the other side of the face to the floor and relaxing, drawing the heels apart, toes together. And maybe you wiggle the hips side to side. Just see how it feels for you. From there, we're going to take the forehead either to the floor, or we can look forward slightly. So this is the one time I'm going to not tell you to get out of that spine, the upper spine. We're going to reach back and grab a heel or an ankle. We're going to reach back with the other hand and grab the other one. And then we're going to really push our hips into the floor. You're going to keep looking forward or down, your choice. And right here, we're just stretching through our quadriceps. That's in the front of the thigh, 4 muscles right in the front. Notice as you breathe how the belly lifts, and as you exhale, you sink in once again. Take another big breath right there, getting that stretch across the quadriceps. And exhale. And then releasing the feet slowly, and then coming into your Makrasana again. Maybe the chin is coming to the hands this time. Maybe you wiggle the hips. Feel what your body might need right now. And from there, we're going to come a little deeper on one side. So we're going to take the left arm, put your elbow right under your shoulder, cross it so it's parallel to the front edge of your mat, and we're going to reach back with the right hand and hold that foot. And you could do this with a strap. You can do this any way you want. You could hold a pant leg, really anything that helps you get there. And then we're bringing our shoulders forward, so we're squaring them off. Breathing deeply, not sinking into that left arm, so you're keeping buoyant through the chest, looking down toward the floor or forward if that feels okay on your neck. And then release it. Take the other hand across and reach back for your left leg. Setting up, pushing your hips into the floor, breathing with sound. Maybe the hand is pulling in at the foot is resisting. Breathing deeply. One more breath. And then release that hand once again. You can release yourself back into Makrasana. We'll take 2 breaths right here. And then one more time, we're going to grab both heels. So remember, a strap is a really useful tool right here. Get a good grip, and we're going to take the toes. The feet are pointed, but then we're going to push the toes back as if we're pushing on the gas in a car. And then we're going to start to push into the hands. Hands are resisting, and we might lift the thighs from the floor. We might also start to lift up through the upper body, looking forward or down to the floor, whatever is best for you, coming into bow pose, Dhanurasana. And it doesn't have to get really high. You're thinking about lifting right where the hands and the feet are joined. They go up. Breathing, 2 more breaths. Maybe rocking a bit on the belly. And releasing. Taking the knees bent and swing the feet side to side. Doing that several times, as many times as you need to. It just feels nice after a back bend. And then we're going to turn on to the back once again. So flip yourself over. And after doing any back bend, it's great to come into a hamstring stretch. So we're going to bend the knee, hold on to the thickest part of your hamstring, and then start to push the heel up. Breathing with sound. Taking 2 very deep breaths, maybe bringing that foot in a little more. And then once again, push up on the toes. See how it changes it for you. And then release it. Drop that leg down to the floor. Take the other side. Hold on to the thickest part of the hamstring while the knee is bent. And then start to push up at the heel. Nice deep breaths. Another breath right there. And then we push up at the toes, press on the gas. Maybe the leg comes a little closer. It's optional, of course. Honor where you are. And then we release that leg down. Let's bend both knees and roll to one side. You're going to pick yourself up into a seated position. And then we're going to press both legs out. We're going to again shift the weight forward, drag the sitting bone flesh away to expose those sitting bones. Toes are going to point straight up in the air. And I want you to really lift out of the spine. Feel your low back and see if you're too rounded or too arched. So either one is not helpful. So if you're rounded, you're kind of slouching right here. I want you to really pick up. If you're one of those folks that are really hypermobile in their flexibility, then you're going to think about pushing back a little bit more, getting a little more strength through your belly. So we're nice and tall. You might sit right here. This might be really uncomfortable and it might get enough work for you. Otherwise, you're going to start to keep that length in the spine, hinge at your hips, little bend through the knees, keep them soft, and then lower as far as feels comfortable for you. You're going to look down toward the legs. You're going to breathe. And remember, you don't need to touch your toes. That's just icing on the cake. Doesn't make you a better person. If you feel a release, you can start to lengthen forward a little bit more and maybe fold in that tiny bit more. You might want to check your back again, have a feel, make sure it's not one way or the other too much. Nice balanced pose in Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend. Take one more breath here. And then using your hands to help guide you up back to a seated position. I'd like you to take a comfortable seat once again. And we're going to close with a short meditation today. So making sure that the feet stay comfy, whatever that means for you. You don't have to be in a cross-legged position. You could even sit in a chair for the next few minutes. It really is up to you and what your body is feeling like right now. I would like you to turn your palms up toward the ceiling and take your thumb and index finger together. And this is in an effort to be open. This is called Jnana Mudra. And I want you to inhale several times. In each inhale, I want you to think about making that space between the vertebrae again. And every exhalation, I want you to really notice your body today. Seeing how the shoulders are feeling, how the heart rate feels, how the breathing is feeling. Just becoming more aware of what's happening internally as we move through this week. Being grateful for the body that you have. Grateful for your ability to move through these poses in whatever form that takes for you. Grateful even for any pains and discomforts that come along to help you to know what you need. And then becoming aware of that Manipura chakra. So remember, it's right at the level of the diaphragm or solar plexus through the body to the spine. And it's a swirling, yellow, beautiful light. Noticing if you pick up any of the energetic vibration from that chakra now that we've activated it. You might even notice that you're able to sit a little bit taller because we've opened so much through that area of the body. The breathing may be easier as we've opened right at that diaphragmatic level of the body. Diaphragm, of course, helps you to breathe. And then maybe tuning into that energy at the Manipura chakra level. Maybe noticing the swirling. Maybe picking up on the color. And then once again, tapping into your intuition, asking yourself what you need to transform, what needs to happen for you to transform, to get whatever it is in your life that you're looking for. And whatever comes to you, trust it. Trust your own intuition. Take 2 more breaths here. Letting go of any sensation or imagery you might have, and just being still in your mind, becoming the watcher of your thoughts once again, an observer that is detached. And just blinking open the eyes. You have a choice here. We can close the class now by saying namaste, hands to the heart, and lowering the head, bowing to each other, honoring each other and the practice we've just done. If you would like to, you please feel free to go into Shavasana and take your corpse pose for a few minutes, just to let your body settle and let your mind settle. And I'll close myself right now saying that namaste.